Hey everyone, welcome to another Stukent Expert Session. My name is Joe Hedrick, and today we have Nathan Ellering from CoSchedule, and he's going to teach us about how to share and plan content, as well as what content works and everything else you will need to know to have a successful social media campaign. Nathan Ellering is Head of Marketing Demand Generation at CoSchedule. We're super excited to hear what he has to say, so without further ado, Nathan, take it away.
Hey everyone, and thanks for being on the webinar today. I'm going to be talking about planning social media messages, and specifically the kinds that are going to build engagement, boost following, like grow your followers, number of followers, and increase traffic. All of this stuff is backed by research, and a lot of that research has led me to believe that you can get 3,150% more traffic specifically if you just follow this advice. I've actually experienced that. A lot of the people who I've given this advice to have said that they've gotten even bigger results than that, so it's pretty fun to be sharing this with all of you today. I'm Nathan from CoSchedule, and I work on the demand generation team there. If you guys are out there, you graduate and you have some questions, please feel free to reach out to me. That's my Twitter handle right there, at NJ Ellering. I would love to connect with you guys and just, chat. This is real life, so just, treat it like that. Let's build a relationship. So I kind of mentioned that I work at this company called CoSchedule, and CoSchedule is a marketing project management tool. And what that means is we kind of take the approach that there are lots of different tools out there, and that's kind of what this slide is showing is you can have tools to promote out to social media, which CoSchedule does. You can have tools to manage your task workflow. You can have tools to manage your marketing calendar, your social media calendar, all these different tools out there, and it just feels like chaos. And CoSchedule came about because we had a different company at one point, and we were super confused about all these different tools, and so we built CoSchedule to be the one place to start every single project, and that's what CoSchedule is. So you can use CoSchedule to schedule social media messages along with blog posts or webinars or ebooks, landing pages, brochures, whatever kind of marketing that you're working on. So with that, like I mentioned, I have a lot of experience with scheduling social media messages. So today, that's what we're going to be talking about. I want to talk about what content works for all of the major social networks. So we're going to be talking specifics into Facebook, Google+, yeah, seriously, Google+, Twitter, Instagram, all of the major social networks. We're going to talk about the types of messages. So you're talking about the copywriting at that point. There are visuals that we need to talk through because certain visuals will help you get that attention in busy news feeds, which helps you ultimately get that traffic back to your website where you can convert those people and make your business money from social media. We're going to talk about planning, how to share. Basically, there are some best practices on how often should you post each day, and we're going to also talk about content curation too, and what that means. Basically, if content curation sounds a little weird to you, marketers stole that verbiage from museum art curators, right? So they bring in artists or pieces from artists from all over into one hub where they provide value to many people, and you can do that with social media for the audience that you have. So as an aside, my team and I have used all these tactics. We know they work. This stuff is proven. It's attainable. All of this stuff is measurable, and it's the perfect fit, I think, for a new grad entering the workforce in any entry-level social media or marketing position. If you guys came in talking to me about this stuff at CoSchedule, I would definitely be interested in talking about hiring you on here. So with that, the very first thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was the specific types of content. Like what sorts of things should you be sharing on specific social networks? So starting with Facebook, Facebook is a place for entertainment. People go here to connect with friends and family, less so brands. So if you can think of humor, quizzes, storytelling, emotional stories, things that don't actually feel like marketing tend to perform best on Facebook. That industry blog content, your press releases that you've learned how to write just won't work there. Trust me, I've measured this. So definitely try, videos tend to work really well. Highest engagement sort of content you can share on Facebook is videos right now, currently. Forget about hashtags. Doesn't work. And as far as Twitter, you can care about hashtags. Hashtags actually help more people discover your stuff. It's been proven that tweets with hashtags can grow your engagement. But Twitter, as far as a content platform, it's really good for useful business tips, maybe a place to show a little bit of personality. You can use it for maybe a culture hashtag, like we have overheard at CoSchedule here at CoSchedule, but we also manage it for sharing all of our content out. Quotes work really well here. Stuff that is immediately inspiring, actionable, kind of makes people want to click on what you're sharing. You can actually get tons of traffic from Twitter if you do it right. Pinterest is fashion, DIY, recipes, that sort of thing. It's B2C or business to consumer for a lot of reasons like that. And of course, it's a visual social network. Actually, this is the network that made infographics the most shared content in the world for so many years running. So the types of content that work really well are infographics or graphics that are specifically tall and narrow. There's a lot of research out there that suggests that 735 pixels wide by like 1100 pixels tall does extremely well on Pinterest. And Pinterest itself kind of says that the best pins are helpful, beautiful, actionable, which is all really good advice. So when you think about that, good advice, it's good advice followed by step-by-step process to actually execute that advice. That goes back to the DIY stuff. LinkedIn is the business social network, right? So this is where you're going to share that industry news, share your business's news. Specifically, thought leadership content will always perform better. If you think about press releases, they're all about you, what's in it for your audience. So definitely think about ways that you can help people. The classic question is, what's in it for me? Why should I read your stuff? So, sharing valuable information like case studies, how-to posts, examples of how to grow personally and professionally or grow your business, those sorts of things work really well. Personal growth stories, again, that goes back to thought leadership. That's the sort of stuff that works really well on LinkedIn, which also works really well on Google+. Google Plus is kind of that grab bag between personal and professional. In your private circle, you always see these pictures of people sharing pics of their kids. You guys maybe not be ready for that right now, but you will get there. And in your public circle, though, you can share professional business content. So helpful content works really well here, like LinkedIn. Imagine how-to videos. Google Plus and YouTube work really well together, so definitely think about that. Helpful screenshots, techie content works really well. Google Plus still has a big techie or technical following because they were early adopters of the network and still embrace it. Instagram is really good. I'm sure you guys actually know way more about Instagram than I do, but 65% of those best performing posts on Instagram feature products, which is a marketer's dream right there. You can use Instagram for inspirational posts, culture posts, posts about your product or service. All that stuff should perform well on Instagram. All right, so you guys know, generally speaking, what sort of content might work for different networks. So you can be like, oh, I've got this specific thought leadership piece. Where should I share it? What networks that would actually work on. Probably mostly, for that example, would work well on LinkedIn, maybe less so on Facebook, right? So let's just learn in generalities, though, how to write social media posts that work really well. Again, all of this is backed by data, and I am a big fan of that. So don't give me anecdotes, tell me facts, right? So we know that headlines work extremely well. Now, anytime that you're sharing something on social media that's like an article or a blog post or a case study, all those things are pieces of content that have headlines. And a lot of times, if you're combining content marketing with social media marketing, you're going to be looking at headlines like how to, list, and question, which after an analysis of more than a million headlines that went through our system, we found that these types of headlines perform best. And subsequently, they work really well for writing social media messages. Who knew, right? So something that we advocate is that for every piece of content that you guys write, that you for every piece you write 30 headlines for it. And if you write 30 headlines for it, you can choose one of these or from each of these, and you got three social media messages then, right? You choose one how-to, one from the list, one from the question, and go forward. And by the way, these are all little frameworks for you to fill in the gap. These templates are among the top performing headlines we've ever seen go out of CoSchedule's system. So again, backed by data. If you're curious, there is a tool out there called the Headline Analyzer. It's at coschedule.com/headline-analyzer. It's completely free for you guys to use. So, if you've got some projects going on at school, or maybe after you're done with school and you're in the workforce and you're writing headlines and you have zero inspiration, go check that out. It's meant to take all that data and help you write really good headlines without having to really think about it. Another type of social media post message that works really well are questions. And specifically here, we're looking at close-ended questions because they get 255% more click-throughs than open-ended questions. If you're wondering what is a close-ended question, an example there might be, are you using hashtags like you should be? It's making you answer yes or no in your brain. It's one or the other, right? And if you answer no, I guess I don't know if I'm using hashtags like I should be. The answer lies if you just click through to read that content, which is why it works really well for increasing traffic from social media. Controversial content will always perform well. It's performed well since the dawn of time. Even when it was just published in magazines. But on social, it works really well too. And what I'm talking about here is making your readers question a behavior, a belief, or a sense of belonging. So for example, I could write a message something like, here's why you don't need a marketing strategy, and then a link. Like, doesn't that make you question my take on that, right? That's controversial. I'm making you question a belief because I'm sure you've taken a class on marketing strategy, right? And I'm telling you that you actually don't need one, which I guess I actually believe that. You can check out CoSchedule blog if you want to read more about that. Anecdotes work really well as writing social media messages. Anecdotes are those things that you kind of throw out there as if they're fact, but they're not based on any data. Like, that almost goes back to controversial stuff in some ways too. But in this example that you're seeing right now, "Nothing is original" is a quote from Austin Kleon, and that definitely is anecdotal. And it definitely makes you wonder what that means or what that implies to. And if you just click, you will find out the answer, which is why it works for generating traffic. And again, just like you saw Austin Kleon, that was an anecdote, but it was also a quote. Quotes always work really well on social media, so definitely try it out. A lot of the social networks like Twitter and Facebook allow for tagging, so you can always tag an influencer when you do this, which works really well because if you tag them, like let's say on Twitter, I tag an influencer and I say, hey, this was a really awesome quote. Here it is. You use a picture of them in that graphic or whatever. They are going to be really likely to reshare it. And if they really are an influencer, they will have a massive audience, and it helps you reach that larger audience, which in turn helps drive more traffic and from an audience who actually doesn't know you, which is a really good thing. Benefits work really well. This is that classic question. I'm sure you guys learned about this. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? If I'm your audience and I see a message from you, what's in it for me to click through on that? The benefits are really how that goes down. So, for example, if I wanted to write a message, maybe I could write something like, what if you could save time as you improve your process? And then a link. If you think about that, with that message, I am promising you the benefit of saving time and improving your process at the same exact moment, and that will generate some traffic. Another good written message is sound bites. So this is like literally where you just copy paste stuff from the content that you're sharing into your social message. It's the lazy person's dream, and it works really well because you've spent a lot of time creating that content in the first place. So think about your subheadlines, a sentence, a statement of some kind, the big takeaway. For this class today, I could maybe share something like, if I were to promote it through a social media message, I could maybe write something like, share your content more than once on social media to get 3,150% more traffic. Pretty powerful stuff, right? So you guys know how to write really good messages. Let's talk about visuals, because visual content is a huge part of success on social media. So I kind of mentioned this earlier, but quotes work really well, and specifically quotes from noteworthy people work well. So this example that you're seeing right now is from podcaster Pat Flynn, and he's featuring a guest on his podcast, and he simply grabbed a quote from the guest that is within that podcast episode and coupled it with a big benefit or snippet takeaway, right, or a soundbite. So you get the big takeaway, you get a quote, it kind of makes you interested in listening to that episode, and you can listen to that episode and get all of that advice from Steve Scott if you just click, which helps get you traffic. So GIFs and humor, it's no secret that people love entertaining content on social media, and GIFs are a really great way to do that. For example, if I wanted to use this GIF of Andy, I could share. This works really well when you do something like this. How you'll feel when you learn how to double your traffic with a social media posting schedule. This guy looks super excited, right? And if you could feel like that, wouldn't that be awesome? You would feel awesome. And that sort of thing helps generate traffic from social media. I like to call these helpful info images. They're not quite infographics because some networks just don't support the longer length of infographics that well. So you could actually take one infographic and break it up into all the different sections and share it out across all the other networks just to see what would work. And that's essentially what this is. It's like the how-to, a tip in it, or maybe it's a graph or a chart or something like that. Those tend to work really well. And again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but infographics are the most shared content on the internet, period, have been for many years. So definitely think about including infographics in the content that you're creating and then sharing those things on Pinterest. Pinterest users often curate things from other people because it's a high share volume social network, which means if you're not creating tons of content, but you still want to be active, you're sharing other people's content. So if you give them something to share, they will share it. It works really well. And if you think that doesn't work for B2B, you'd be wrong. Actually, Pinterest is our top traffic social network here at CoSchedule, and it's because we include infographics in so many of our posts. And you guys learned a lot about headlines earlier. You can use those in your graphic. The one caveat that I would have here is that you don't have the text say the same thing as the text in your graphic. You can kind of see here in this example, want to write killer posts? Again, that's a closed-ended question, isn't it? If you answer yes, you're going to want to click. Videos work really well. I don't even think that we need to talk that much about it. Videos are the most engaging content you can share on any network that supports them. Your business should be creating video. And there's this thing called multi-image that works really well too. Networks like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram all support multi-image, and it's a really great way to kind of tell a story through multiple visuals. So definitely check into that as you get started with the sorts of messages that you will be writing and designing for and scheduling out. All right, so by this point, you guys know the basics of the content that you're sharing out to all your social networks. You know how to write really awesome messages, and you know how to design them too, which is pretty sweet. So let's dive into the specific networks and figure out how much content you should be sharing to them every single day for a business. So if you're thinking about Facebook, what you want to do is share one post per day. You can share two posts per day if you want. There's this really great feature on Facebook called targeting. And an example there would be you can share more than once if you just target specific audiences. So for example, if you work at The Gap, which is a CoSchedule customer, like something that they could do is like share a post to Facebook that targets only women and have it be women's clothes. And then they could share another post to Facebook that targets only men and have it be men's clothes. And they can share more often to a very targeted audience, which will appreciate those messages even more and capture more opportunity. So Facebook targeting is a very powerful feature for marketers. Twitter is a high share volume social network. I recommend tweeting 15 times a day. Tweets only live a few seconds, honestly. And the thing about Twitter is people just check in all the time. And since your tweets will die or have a limited lifespan, it's very socially acceptable to tweet often and tweet a lot every single day. And basically, if you think about high share volume networks like Twitter, and we're going to talk about Pinterest too, these high social share networks, it's expected that you share a lot. So if you do not share a lot, you're actually missing out on opportunity. So Pinterest, again, high share volume social networks. So definitely think about 11 pins per day there. LinkedIn is the business's social network, so its users are most active during the workday from Monday through Friday, so the work week. And if you're thinking about that, that's why you should just share once a day there. And that's why the low is kind of 0. So definitely make sure to share on all of the business days on LinkedIn. And you know what? I don't think it hurts to share on Saturday and Sunday. And actually, I'm an advocate for sharing more often than not, because something that you can do is if you share too much, you can map this out, right? I'm going to increase the amount of shares to a specific network, and I'm going to measure the amount of followers I currently have. And you can cross-compare. The more I share, do I get more followers? Or the more I share, the more followers I lose. So you can set your own expectations here too. Google Plus is a lot like LinkedIn, but you can share just a little bit more. We recommend sharing to Google Plus twice a day. And Instagram is kind of that 1 to 2 range. We've seen a lot of people actually start to increase the amount that they're posting to Instagram, but as a business, I still recommend 1 to 2. And again, I'm a big advocate of share more than share less. So if you're like me, go big or go home and share at least twice a day to Instagram. Now, that probably looks like a lot, right? Like there's a lot of opportunity for you to share. And I kind of mentioned that word curation earlier. And what does that mean? Like, how can you fill in the gaps? Like when you start at this business, maybe you are the person that is leading the blog and you don't have a lot of content to share. So you can combine curated content and earned content with your own content. So let's kind of take a look at a couple examples there and what that might look like. So what I recommend is spreading the word with earned content. So in this example, our buddy Chris Desi wrote an article about CoSchedule in Inc.com. That's awesome for us because Inc. is an authority. It's a really good website for us to be on. Chris gave us a ton of love. This entire article is about us. It's what we call positive earned content, and it's excellent fodder for posting onto your social networks. Chris gives us a lot of credibility because we didn't write this article ourselves. He's such a fan that he went out to this super authoritative site and wrote all about us. So it's earned, and our audience will like it because there's more credibility there. There's a trust factor. There's a lot of research out there that suggests that consumers do not trust brands because marketers like me are all after your money, right? So they will trust a third party like Chris to say, hey, this is actually worth your money. So definitely check into earned content like this. I mentioned that word curation a lot. This is an idea or an example of curation. So with CoSchedule, you can schedule your social media posts to all of the major social networks, right? Instagram is one of those social networks. So what we want to do is help our users be as successful as possible with Instagram, because if our customers are successful, they have that much more reason to use a tool like CoSchedule. And we don't have to be the ones who write all this amazing content on Instagram. So for example, we might go out to a blog we respect and find a post like this, Instagram marketing tips, which is great. If that can help our users be better at what they do, why don't we share that with our social media following? If anything, too, if you think about social media, the word social is in there. And if you think about social media as a conversation, the last thing you want to do is talk to anybody who only talks about themselves. Like, no one likes that. And you don't want your brand to look like you're only talking about yourself too. So share stuff from relevant sources that your customers or audience will appreciate. Again, this social media thing is about providing value. And what relationships do you stick around in if there's nothing in it for you, right? So definitely think about curation. And then, my last thought here is share your content with that too. So you can always share your best content again. The last thing that you want to do is write a huge blog post and share it to social media one time and call it quits. Like I said, with Twitter, if a tweet only lives a few seconds, why? How do you expect your entire Twitter following to see it within those 15 seconds? You have to share it out again and again and again, and it helps to switch up your messaging, which is why I went through all those different messages, and switch up your visuals, which is why I went through all those different visuals. But you can take your own content and share it way more than once. For example, this blog post says that we published it just in October here. But I actually published this post probably about 2 years ago, and I've been optimizing it and revising it and making sure it ranks for that keyword over and over and over again. And every time we do it, we share it again on social media because we know our audience cares. Just because it's old doesn't mean it's bad. If your audience likes it, share it again. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you guys learned something, and it was really fun for CoSchedule to be a part of your class today. We really appreciate this stuff, and I wish you guys the best of luck upon graduation. And when you get started out there, keep us in mind. We have tons of resources on the CoSchedule blog that can help you guys market really well.